We thought our secret office romance was safe until everyone started noticing, and suddenly gossip threatened to ruin everything. I never imagined falling for someone at work could feel like this, thrilling, terrifying, and completely consuming. Every morning, as I walked into the office, my heart would skip a beat the moment I saw him. Arjun, calm, charming, and always just enough distance away to make me ache for him. We were careful, of course. Office rules were strict, and I knew the consequences if anyone found out. Yet somewhere between meetings and coffee breaks, between project deadlines and shared smiles across the cubicles, our connection grew stronger. Secret glances became lingering touches. Short chats in empty conference rooms turned into whispered confessions. No one suspected a thing. Or at least I thought they didn't. The thrill of secrecy made every smile and every touch feel electric, like we were the only two people in the world. But the very thing that made it exciting, the secrecy, also made it fragile. It all started one Monday morning. I walked past the break room and saw him leaning against the counter, pretending to check his phone. My stomach did a somersault as he looked up and caught my gaze. For a second, the world faded. Then quietly, he slipped a small note into my hand. Lunch at 1? Just us? I couldn't stop the smile that spread across my face. Just us. That phrase had never felt so thrilling. I nodded subtly, hiding the note before anyone could see. Lunch hour was our sanctuary, a quiet cafe down the street, a place where no one knew our names, a place where we could be ourselves. That day, as we sat across from each other, our hands brushed accidentally, and I felt a shock of warmth shoot through me. We laughed nervously, both of us pretending it was casual, but our eyes told a different story. It felt perfect, and yet I couldn't shake the unease. Secrets like ours had a way of spiraling out of control. One careless glance, one overheard conversation, one small mistake, and suddenly everyone would know. Rumors could start in an instant, and the office was a breeding ground for gossip. Still, I couldn't stop. I didn't want to. The thrill, the stolen moments, the way he made me feel alive even in the most mundane office environment, it was intoxicating. I kept thinking, we can handle this. We'll be careful. No one will ever find out. But as I returned to my desk, a whisper reached my ears. Someone murmured my name in passing, their voice low, eyes darting toward me and Arjun. My chest tightened, a wave of panic washing over me. Could it already be starting? I looked at him across the room and he gave me the smallest reassuring smile. That tiny gesture was enough to steady me, for now. But deep down, I knew the higher we climbed in secrecy, the harder the fall would be if anyone discovered our secret office romance. Have you ever had to hide your feelings for someone? How did it make you feel? I thought we were careful, truly careful. Every glance, every whispered conversation, every small touch was calculated, hidden in plain sight. But the office had a way of noticing things, even the smallest inconsistencies. It started with the subtle stares. During morning meetings, I caught coworkers' eyes lingering on Arjun and me a little too long. Smiles that weren't quite friendly, whispered comments behind coffee mugs. At first, I convinced myself I was imagining it, that paranoia was just a side effect of our secret. But then came the notes. A sticky note slipped under my keyboard, unsigned, saying, "Careful, everyone's talking." My stomach dropped. My hands shook as I read it again. How long had this been going on? Who had noticed? At lunch, Arjun tried to reassure me. "It's fine," he whispered across the table, his fingers brushing mine under the table. "We've been careful. We just have to keep being smart." Nothing else I wanted to believe him. I really did. But every time someone glanced our way or whispered just a little too quickly when we walked past, the doubt crept in. Gossip had a way of spreading like wildfire, and I could already feel it flickering dangerously close. The first confrontation happened in the bathroom. I walked in, and a coworker, someone I barely spoke to, looked me in the eye and said, "So, you and Arjun, huh?" My heart skipped. I forced a smile, pretending not to understand. "What do you mean?" I asked, my voice steady despite the chaos in my chest. "Oh, come on," she said, smirking. "Everyone's talking. You two are practically glued together." She walked away, leaving me frozen in disbelief. My mind raced. How much does everyone know? How did this even start? When I returned to my desk, Arjun was already there, his brow furrowed. I showed him the note and recounted the encounter in the bathroom. He ran a hand through his hair, tension tight in his shoulders. "We have to be careful," he said firmly. "From now on, no accidental touches, no lingering looks, nothing. Just normal. That word felt impossible. How could we act normal when every heartbeat was tied to each other? Every stolen glance had become dangerous. Yet we nodded, agreeing silently, knowing that the risk was real. By the end of the day, I could feel the whispers swirling around us. I overheard fragments. "They're dating, I'm sure of it. Did you see how they smiled at each other?" The office had become a maze of suspicion and tension, and every step felt like walking on eggshells. I leaned back in my chair, trying to calm my racing thoughts. I loved him, I really did, but the thrill of secrecy had turned into something heavier as anxiety, fear, and the looming question, what if everyone found out? What if this secret cost us everything? And in that moment, I realized something frightening. The office didn't forgive easily. Gossip had a way of destroying lives, careers, and even love, always, and we were right in the middle of it. Would you risk gossip at work to be with someone you love, or would you end it before anyone found out? By midweek, the whispers had become impossible to ignore. Walking into the office felt like stepping onto a stage where everyone was watching, judging, analyzing every move I made. I tried to focus on my work, to drown out the murmurs, but every glance felt heavy with suspicion. It happened during a team meeting. I was taking notes, pretending to concentrate on the presentation, when I heard it. A low, almost deliberate whisper from the corner of the room. "She's dating Arjun. Didn't you notice?" My stomach dropped. My fingers tightened around the pen. I risked a glance at him. He was pretending to review the slides, but his jaw was tight, eyes flicking toward me ever so subtly. After the meeting, I followed him to the elevator, heart pounding. "We need to talk," I whispered, voice barely audible. He nodded, pressing the button for the top floor. "I know," he said. His eyes searched mine, panic flickering beneath his calm facade. "They're talking. More than we thought, I sank into the corner of the elevator, feeling the walls close in. What do? I asked, voice trembling. Everyone knows, or at least suspects. We can't keep pretending forever, Arjun reached out, brushing a hand along mine. We have to stay calm. The moment we panic, the gossip spreads faster. We act normal, act like nothing's happening, and keep our secret safe. Normal, I repeated bitterly. How can we act normal when everyone is watching us like hawks? He squeezed my hand reassuringly. We're careful, we're smart. That's how we survive this. But survival became a daily test. I noticed the sideways glances in the cafeteria, the subtle smirks in the hallway, coworkers leaning closer during casual conversations to exchange quick whispers when I walked by. Every step, every laugh, every touch risked exposure. The worst part came on Friday. I was at my desk when one of our colleagues, Mira, stopped by under the pretense of asking about a report. Her eyes were sharp, her smile too knowing. So, you and Arjun, she said, voice teasing. How long have you been sneaking around? My chest tightened. Excuse me? I asked, forcing a polite smile, trying to hide the pounding of my heart. Don't play dumb, she said, leaning casually against the desk. I see the way you look at each other. The stolen moments. Come on, you can tell me. I froze, caught between embarrassment, fear, and the desire to defend our secret. Before I could reply, Arjun appeared behind her, his presence calming yet tense. She's right, he said, voice steady but firm. We like each other, but it's personal and it's not for office gossip. Mira blinked, surprised by his honesty, then smirked and walked away. But the damage was done. We had admitted it, just enough to satisfy curiosity, but not enough to reveal the full story. And in that moment, I realized controlling rumors was harder than controlling my own heart. Have you ever been caught in a situation where your secret was almost exposed? How did you handle it? After the confrontation with Mira, the office felt different, sharper, more tense, like we were walking on a tightrope. Every glance, every casual conversation, every shared smile became a calculated risk. I loved Arjun, but I began to realize how fragile our secret really was. I sat at my desk staring at my computer screen, trying to focus on the quarterly report, but my mind kept drifting. Was that whisper in the hallway really innocent? Did someone notice the way we lingered by the coffee machine yesterday? Gossip spread faster than fire in dry grass, and suddenly I felt like we were surrounded by sparks ready to ignite. Arjun appeared at my desk, leaning casually, but his eyes were concerned. We need to be smart, he said quietly. I don't want anyone thinking this is affecting our work. It's already starting to look suspicious. I nodded, swallowing my anxiety. I know, I whispered, but it's so hard. Every time someone smiles at me, I wonder if they know. And I can't stop thinking about what happens if it all blows up. He reached out and gently touched my hand. We can't let that happen, he said. We keep it professional here. Outside, we'll have our moments, our time, but inside, we're colleagues first. That's the balance. It sounded simple when he said it, but living it was another story. During meetings, I had to suppress the urge to look at him, to share a smile, to hold his gaze. Even casual touches, like brushing past each other to reach the printer, became calculated and subtle. The hardest part was resisting the instinct to protect each other from gossip. A coworker made a pointed joke during lunch, hinting at office romance, and I wanted to defend us to assert the truth. But Arjun placed a hand over mine under the table, a silent reminder to stay calm. I took a deep breath and laughed lightly, pretending the comment didn't bother me. The balance was exhausting, but it was necessary. One misstep could expose us, ruin our reputations, and make our relationship impossible to continue. By the end of the week, we had developed a rhythm, a careful dance of stolen glances, subtle touches, and whispered notes that no one could see. Every text during the day was coded, every coffee break meticulously timed. We became experts at secrecy, but the weight of it was heavy. Still, in the quiet moments, after the office emptied, or when we walked to the elevator together, hands brushing, I reminded myself why we endured it all. Our love was worth the tension, the whispered gossip, and the daily balancing act. It was thrilling, yes, but also a reminder that some things worth keeping required patience, caution, and courage. And so we continued, navigating office politics and rumors, knowing that the line between secrecy and exposure was thinner than ever, but also that our bond, our secret love, was something we would protect at all costs. Would you risk your career to be with someone you love, or would you step back for safety? Monday morning hit like a wave. I had barely settled into my desk when I noticed the office buzzing. Whispers, stifled laughter, and the unmistakable glances in our direction. My chest tightened, and my fingers gripped my keyboard. Somehow, the rumor had spread faster than I could have imagined. Did you hear about Ria and Arjun? Someone murmured behind me. I froze, pretending to focus on my spreadsheet, heart hammering. Every word I overheard felt like a spark, threatening to ignite the gossip wildfire consuming the office. Arjun appeared at my side, whispering, "Ignore it. We've got to stay calm, don't feed the rumors." I nodded, but it wasn't easy. Every conversation around me seemed to carry a hidden meaning. Every laugh felt pointed, every sideways glance a judgment. Even the HR assistant raised an eyebrow at me in passing, making my stomach twist. By lunch, the rumor had escalated. Notes appeared on my desk, unsigned messages warning me to be careful and think about your career. I felt a mix of anger and panic. Who was behind it? And why were they so determined to expose us? We decided to confront the situation head on. Arjun and I sat in the cafeteria, pretending to be casual, but our eyes scanned the room constantly. We noticed coworkers whispering, pointing subtly, casting knowing smiles. The tension was unbearable. Then Mira appeared again, smirking as she sat down across from us. "So, still trying to keep it a secret?" she asked, voice teasing but sharp. "It's kind of cute how you two think you can hide it, but everyone's talking." I felt heat rush to my cheeks, and Arjun placed a steadying hand over mine. "Yes, we're together," he said calmly, "but it doesn't affect our work, and it's no one else's business." Mira raised an eyebrow, but she didn't press further. She left with a laugh, but the message was clear. Everyone knew, or at least suspected, and the gossip wouldn't stop. Back at our desks, I slumped into my chair. The reality hit me. Secrecy was no longer enough. The rumor had taken on a life of its own, spreading faster than any careful plan we had made. Our colleagues were now spectators, analyzing every interaction, every smile, every conversation. I looked at Arjun, our hands brushing under the desk in a small gesture of comfort. What do we do now? I asked quietly. We keep being ourselves, but we also prepare for the fallout, he replied. We can't control everything, but we can control how we respond. I sighed, knowing he was right. Love and gossip had collided, and we were trapped in the middle. But despite the fear and uncertainty, I felt something stronger than panic, determination. We weren't going to let rumors dictate our relationship. We would navigate the chaos, protect our secret as best we could, and fight for the love that had become too important to lose. The office would talk, people would speculate, but our bond, built on stolen moments, shared smiles, and whispered confessions, was worth every whispered rumor, every sideways glance, and every risk we were taking. Have you ever had a rumor spread about you that wasn't true? How did you handle it? By Wednesday, the whispers had grown louder, and I felt eyes following me wherever I went. Each step through the office was a test, each glance a potential trap. The gossip was no longer subtle. It was bold, invasive, and relentless. I was reviewing a report at my desk when Mira appeared again, leaning casually against the edge. Her smile was sharp, almost predatory. So, how's our little secret? She asked, tilting her head, eyes gleaming. I hear the whole office is talking about you two. Care to comment? My heart pounded. I opened my mouth, searching for a response, but Arjun appeared behind me before I could speak. His presence was steadying, a shield against the storm of her words. We're colleagues first, he said firmly, voice calm but authoritative. Our personal life doesn't interfere with our work, and it's not your business to speculate. Mira's smile faltered slightly, but she wasn't finished. Come on, everyone knows something's going on. You two are practically inseparable. Don't you think the rest of us deserve the truth? I felt a flush rise to my cheeks, embarrassment and frustration mixing into a tight knot in my stomach. I wanted to shrink, to disappear, but Arjun took my hand under the desk, grounding me. Truth is, he continued, what matters is our professionalism. Gossip doesn't define us, and neither should it define anyone else here. We're happy, and we're careful. That's enough. Mira laughed lightly, a sound that felt like a challenge. Careful? Maybe. But everyone's watching. How long before your little secret ruins your reputation? Her words stung, but I refused to let panic take over. Our relationship isn't ruining anything, I said, voice steadier than I felt. If anything, it motivates us, keeps us focused, and makes us better at what we do. That's the reality. She smirked, clearly unimpressed, and finally walked away, leaving me trembling but resolute. Arjun squeezed my hand, his silent reassurance reminding me why we were enduring all of this. Later, during a team meeting, I noticed subtle changes in behavior. Colleagues were polite, professional, but there was a lingering curiosity in their eyes. I caught snippets of conversations, quiet whispers, half smiles, the unmistakable hum of speculation. I realized then that the confrontation with Mira wasn't the end of gossip. It was the beginning. But something had shifted. For the first time, I felt confident in our ability to face it. We couldn't control what others thought, but we could control how we reacted, how we maintained our love, and how we protected our lives from unnecessary chaos. Arjun caught my gaze across the room, a small smile playing on his lips. In that silent exchange, I found courage. Whatever the office threw at us, rumors, whispers, sideways glances, we would face it together. And perhaps, just perhaps, that shared courage was stronger than the gossip itself. Have you ever had to confront someone spreading rumors about you? How did you handle it, and did it change your confidence? By Thursday, the whispers had started affecting more than just our nerves. They began creeping into our work. Small tasks we had once handled seamlessly suddenly felt scrutinized. Our emails read twice, our meetings observed more closely. Every move was interpreted, every interaction overanalyzed. I was reviewing a client proposal when I noticed Raj, one of our colleagues, standing a little too close. Need any help? He asked, voice casual, but there was a glint in his eyes. Curiosity, suspicion, judgment, all rolled into one. No thanks, I replied, trying to sound calm. I felt Arjun's presence behind me like a shield, but even his reassurance couldn't stop the pang of frustration. Why did it feel like every single person in the office was watching us, waiting for a slip-up? Later, during a team discussion, someone made an offhand joke about office romances. Everyone laughed politely, but I felt the tension in my chest tighten. Eyes flicked toward us. Arjun gave me a small, almost imperceptible nod, silently telling me to stay calm. But staying calm wasn't easy. I noticed a spreadsheet error I hadn't made being subtly blamed on us, as if our secret relationship had suddenly made us careless or distracted. I caught the whispers, the side conversations, the smirks. Lines were being crossed. Gossip had moved from curiosity to insinuation, and suddenly our professional reputations felt like they were on the line. During lunch, Mira approached again, this time with a different tone. Careful, she said, leaning close. It's no longer just rumors. People are starting to question whether you two can handle your jobs. You don't want that kind of attention, trust me. I wanted to argue, not to defend ourselves, but Arjun placed his hand over mine under the table, a silent anchor. We had to be strategic, careful, not defensive. Every word, every reaction, every gesture mattered. By the end of the day, I was exhausted, emotionally drained, constantly on edge, balancing our secret relationship against the creeping consequences of gossip. I realized how thin the line was between private love and public disaster. That night, I sat at home, replaying every interaction, every whispered comment, every sideways glance. I loved Arjun, more than I could put into words, but this constant tension was wearing me down. Could love survive in a place where scrutiny and judgment were relentless? Could we maintain our bond while keeping our careers intact? When I called Arjun that evening, he could sense my worry. We'll get through this, he said softly. We have to. But we also have to be smart. Keep our distance at the office, act professional, and don't give anyone a reason to question us. Outside, we'll be free. We just have to hold on. I nodded, knowing he was right. Holding on had never been more challenging. Gossip wasn't just words, again. It was power, influence, a force that could erode even the strongest bonds. But we weren't giving up. Not yet. We would find a way through this chaos, even if it meant walking a fine line between love and career, secrecy and exposure. And somewhere deep inside, I knew that surviving this would only make our love stronger. Have you ever felt your personal life affecting your professional reputation? How did you handle it? By Friday, I couldn't deny it anymore. The gossip had reached its peak. Walking into the office felt like stepping onto a battlefield. Every glance a potential attack, every whispered comment a dagger aimed at our secret. I loved Arjun, but the tension was suffocating. It started subtly. A group meeting where eyes followed us a little too closely, someone accidentally dropping a comment about office couples, laughter that was too sharp, too knowing. My heart pounded with every interaction. I could feel the eyes of the office on us, watching for a slip, a mistake, anything that confirmed the rumor. Then came the confrontation. Mira cornered me near the printer, her expression unreadable, her eyes cold. "You two can't keep hiding forever," she said, voice low but firm. "People are talking. The higher-ups are noticing. You're playing with fire, Ria." I froze, my chest tightening. "Mira, please," I whispered, trying to stay calm. "We're careful. Nothing is affecting our work." She shook her head. "That's not the point. People see the tension, the stolen glances. Your love might be private, but the attention isn't. You need to decide. Is this relationship worth the risk?" I felt panic rise. Arjun appeared beside me, placing a hand on my shoulder. His presence was calming, yet I could see the worry in his eyes. "We're fine," he said firmly. "We're professional, and we know how to manage our private lives. That's enough." But Mira wasn't convinced. "Enough? People are watching. One wrong move, and it could ruin both of you." She walked away, leaving me trembling, unsure if I could continue like this. The rest of the day was a blur. Every meeting, every email, every interaction felt charged with tension. I realized the gossip had crossed a line. It was no longer idle chatter. It was shaping perceptions, influencing opinions, and threatening our careers. During our lunch break, Arjun and I sat in silence, hands intertwined. "I can't do this forever," I admitted, voice barely audible. "I love you, but the stress, it's too much." He squeezed my hand, determination in his eyes. "We'll figure it out. But we can't let them win. We control what matters. Our feelings, our professionalism, our decisions. No one else can dictate our love." I nodded, drawing strength from his words. He was right. Gossip was powerful, but love required courage, resilience, and trust. We couldn't hide forever, and we couldn't let fear control us. By the end of the day, I realized the breaking point wasn't about the gossip itself. It was about how we responded to it. The whispers, the sideways glances, the rumors, they were tests of our commitment. And for the first time, I felt a spark of clarity. Our love was worth fighting for, even if it meant facing the office chaos head on. Have you ever reached a breaking point because of rumors or gossip? How did you cope and regain control? Monday morning felt different. I could feel it the moment I stepped into the office, a tension that was sharper, heavier, almost electric. The gossip had reached its peak, and Arjun and I knew we couldn't keep hiding. It was time to take a stand. We met quietly in the empty conference room before the day began, our hands clasped together, hearts racing but determined. "We can't keep tiptoeing around them," I whispered. "They'll never stop if we keep pretending it's nothing." Arjun nodded, his jaw set firmly. "We've been careful. We've endured the whispers, but we control our story. It's time they know, professionally, calmly, but clearly." The plan was simple. Acknowledge the relationship without letting it dominate the office narrative. We would own it, but with professionalism. No drama, no emotional outbursts, just truth and boundaries. During the morning meeting, Mira smirked knowingly as she slid into her seat. I could feel her anticipation, expecting us to stumble, to fumble, to confirm the rumors dramatically. But Arjun and I exchanged a glance and breathed deeply. We were ready. When our manager asked a question about our collaboration on a project, I spoke up, calm and confident. Arjun and I have been working closely together, both professionally and personally. Our relationship doesn't interfere with our work, and we're committed to maintaining professionalism at all times. A ripple of surprise went through the room. Mira's smirk faltered, and a few colleagues glanced at each other, reassessing what they thought they knew. By addressing it openly yet calmly, we had taken the power away from the gossip and redirected the narrative on our terms. Throughout the day, whispers still lingered, but the tone had shifted. Curiosity replaced judgment. People were no longer speculating wildly because the truth was out, handled with dignity and confidence. By lunch, a few colleagues even approached us with cautious smiles. "Thanks for being upfront," one said. "It clears the air, and honestly, it's easier to work with honesty than with rumors." I felt a rush of relief and pride. Taking a stand hadn't been easy, but it had changed the dynamics completely. Arjun squeezed my hand under the table, a silent celebration of our courage. Later, as we walked through the office together, I realized something important. Gossip thrives on secrecy, fear, and uncertainty. By facing it, by owning our truth, we had not only protected our relationship, but also reclaimed our power. The office wasn't perfect, and some judgment still lingered, but we had drawn a line. We had shown that love and professionalism could coexist, that rumors couldn't define us, and that taking a stand was not just an act of courage, but an assertion of respect for ourselves and each other. For the first time in weeks, I felt light, unburdened, and free. We were no longer hiding, no longer fearful, and no longer letting gossip dictate our lives. Have you ever taken a stand against rumors or judgment? How did owning your truth change the situation? The days that followed felt lighter, almost surreal. The whispers had diminished, the sideways glances softened, and a sense of calm returned to the office. By taking a stand, Arjun and I had shifted the narrative, and for the first time in weeks, I felt the weight of secrecy lift from my shoulders. Our colleagues started treating us normally, though a few smiles and glances reminded us that curiosity lingered. But it no longer mattered. We had reclaimed our space, our love, and our professionalism. During a project presentation, I caught myself glancing at Arjun, feeling that familiar warmth, the quiet thrill that had always made this relationship special. He met my eyes and winked subtly, a private joke between us, and I realized that despite the chaos, our connection had grown stronger, deeper. Even Mira, who had been the most persistent in her teasing, approached us later with a small smile. "You two handled that well," she admitted. "I guess honesty really does clear the air." I laughed softly, grateful for the unexpected acknowledgement. "It's not about proving anything to anyone," I said. "It's about being honest with ourselves and maintaining what matters most." By the end of the week, the office atmosphere had changed completely. Gossip no longer had a grip over us. Our coworkers respected our professionalism and our boundaries, and our love thrived in a space that had once felt suffocating. That evening, as Arjun and I walked home together, hands entwined and hearts light, I reflected on everything we had endured. The secrecy, the tension, the whispers, the confrontations. It had all tested us, pushed us to our limits, and forced us to grow stronger together. I never thought gossip could feel like a threat to love, I confessed, leaning my head on his shoulder. But I'm glad we faced it. We're stronger because of it. He kissed the top of my head gently. "We protected what matters most," he said softly, "and we did it together." For the first time since this all began, I felt pure relief. Love, when nurtured with trust, courage, and honesty, could withstand even the harshest scrutiny. We had faced rumors, judgment, and fear, and come out stronger, united, and unstoppable. That night, I realized a profound truth. The opinions of others could never define us, nor could they diminish the bond we shared. Our love had survived secrecy, gossip, and professional challenges, and now it thrived openly, boldly, and beautifully. We had chosen each other, defended our love, and refused to let whispers dictate our lives. And in that choice, I found freedom, joy, and the certainty that love, when nurtured with courage and honesty, always wins. Have you ever fought for love despite challenges or judgment? How did standing your ground make your relationship stronger?